And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. The midweek edition of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. What's happening? How the heck are you, everybody? Great to be with you on a Wednesday morning. It is 9 a.m. straight up. And it's about to get sportsy in here, y'all. We got a busy day on the broadcast today, and I'm looking forward to jumping headfirst into it. We'll tell you about everything coming up here in moments. But before we do, we introduce the voice of the program, the alpha and the omega of the Fan Upstate, the Sultan of Swag, the content cash cow, hashtag dad kicks, Colonel Grudge, Lonzo on the other side of the glass. And let's just say that Lonzo had to slap the Play Like a Champion Today banner to get ready because the scoreboard reads Spring Pollen 1, Zoe 0. How we feeling, fella?
Well, my car should not be green, but it is. And, so the luxury of living amongst the trees is that you get more pollen than most people do. And I got my fair share today. So, if I sound a little deeper, if I sound a little more angry, it's because I am.
No holding back, baby. The fortress of solitude, the compound of quietness in the middle of the sticks has fought back against Lonzo. You want isolation, there's a price to pay, buddy.
There is. If you are watching on the stream and you see tears, it's not on purpose. It's just, the eyes are, as some say, watering.
Watering?
Watering.
Yes,
the watering eyes.
Same people that got to go change the oil in their car.
Yes, exactly. They go to the Home Depot.
The old Home Depot.
Sometimes they take a dip in the creek.
Yeah, man. Down in the holler. You head down to the holler. After you change your oil, you got to wash it off, so you hop in the creek. Down at the old swimming hole.
There's some guy out there sitting on his front porch right now. He's 75 years old. He just rolled a cigarette, and he's like, finally, they're speaking my language.
They feel me. They get me. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a show lined up for you today. I hope you'll be a part of it because we have got a lot of things to get to. By the way, Alonzo, for fun and giggles, as we have made some adaptations to the board for those of you that watch on the Facebook stream every day, facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, and on the YouTube by searching the Rob Brown Show YouTube channel, which, by the way, yesterday, your boy got some new toys to play with. Got some sweet new video editing software loaded on the computer, so we start putting more short-form videos up for you, as well as the podcast. Made some adaptations. Captain America Chris Evans down the hall came down and played hero ball with us and changed up some stuff on the board. And we think, fingers crossed, the stream might sound good today.
All right, so I don't want to issue an apology. Because I don't think I need to issue one, but he fixed a problem, but may have created another one. So
it's just never good enough for Lonzo.
No. He just made my life a little more difficult. But you know what? For you guys on the stream, it's worth it. There may be a few times when we come back on the air and you can't hear anybody because
we have more buttons to push.
Yes,
is what it comes down to.
It's like, let's fix this by the most difficult possible way of doing it, which is, I love Chris, but that's how he does things. There's a higher path and a lower path. There's the most complicated way, and then there's the easiest way. Sometimes the easiest way doesn't work, and the only way you can make it work is the most complicated way. Well, he chose the most complicated way.
Here's what I know. It doesn't add any more responsibility to my plate, and it's fixed.
There you go.
Yeah. The excellence of execution, the professor of perfection on the other side of the glass has a little more work to do. But, ladies and gentlemen, we do it for you, the Upstate fan, here on the Fan Upstate.
Just don't sing that song. Ever.
I spent yesterday Googling, after Lonzo left, So during the show, or excuse me, after the show, our buddy Tim Holcomb came down in. DJ Tim, you guys have heard of him spinning when Lonzo's out every now and then. Our buddy Tim comes in and he's dropping some knowledge on us. And I said, Tim, thank you for being a friend. And we've traveled down the road and back again and dropped the Golden Girls line on him.
And of course, he didn't get it.
No clue.
Yeah, he did not get it. As soon as you got like 2 words out, I knew what it was. And
even when I told him he was a friend and a confidant, he didn't know. So then I decided that I needed.
Here's the bad part. He's probably thinking, "Wow,
yeah,
me and Rob just bonded. Yeah. Cool."
I boosted his ego up a little bit.
And you were just.
And I was like, "No, dude." So anyway, I went and I looked, and for those of you that have not heard it before, the Golden Girls theme song was actually a cover of the original song that was played by a guy by the name of Andrew Gold, who the original song, like after you've heard the Golden Girls theme song 10 million times, hearing the OG Golden Girls theme song, the OG Thank You for Being a Friend, is just jarring. And then we realized that Paul Rudd is a time traveler.
Yeah, he's in there for sure.
Oh yeah,
he's rocking the bass.
Go to YouTube and search "Thank You for Being a Friend," Andrew Gold. Watch the OG music video and tell me it's not Paul Rudd playing bass. You can't do it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the show. We have got a lot of things to get to. By the way, I want you all to know that we have rebranded. It's not here yet because I'm working on the liner for it because I'm actually working. It's not in there yet if that's what you're looking for. But anyway.
No.
So anyway, we are rebranding back on the old time slot from noon to 3 here on the Fan Upstate. You had the lunch breakdown because obviously we started at lunch. You're on your lunch break and it's a sports breakdown. I had to come up with something punny to move it to earlier in the morning. I thought initially about the brunch breakdown, but realized nobody takes a break for brunch, at least not during the week.
Yeah, if you
not the demo for this show. If it's Tuesday at 9:30 and you're banging down mimosas, well, you might. I take that back. You probably are the demo for this show.
I don't.
The power rankings of meals. Brunch is number 1 and Brenner is number 2. The old combination of breakfast and dinner. Breakfast foods for dinner. Yeah. That's the power ranking of fruit. Brunch 1, Brenner 2. Brunch is phenomenal. It is not for 1%ers, and it is gatekeeping like that keeps people from experiencing the wonder of Sunday Funday brunch. But anyway, we have decided that we are going to, I have decided that the opening segment, starting on Monday, once the liner is completed, is going to be the water cooler cheat sheet. And it'll start dropping for you on Monday morning, the water cooler cheat sheet, the 3 things you have to know before. I got to rewrite the whole catchphrase and everything. That's the type of effort we put in for you people.
I hope the powers that be who end up putting this thing together find some water cooler sounds.
Already got the liners.
No, I'm talking about sound effects.
Oh, so you?
No, it won't be me. I don't get to do the cool stuff.
Oh, we're doing the cool stuff, buddy. It's already arranged. Alonso's like, damn it, man. Now I have more work to do.
Oh yeah, I believe finding effects I'm better at than they are. So maybe it's a challenge if they're listening to make sure there's that whatever that sound is that a water cooler makes when
glug.
Yeah, that sound.
The water cooler cheat sheet will start on Monday, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we'll just jump into what we got to talk about, and there is plenty of it, ladies and gentlemen. The big thing that I am excited about, and yes, I am making the opening segment about what I want to talk about this evening. Just after 9 p.m., the United States men's national soccer team will take to the pitch to take on Costa Rica. This match will be played down in San Jose, Costa Rica. The only way that the Americans do not qualify for the World Cup tonight is if they manage to lose by 6 goals or more. If the Americans are down to 6-0 or worse.
Wait, do they score that much in soccer?
I mean, you can.
Okay.
It's rare, but yeah. If the Americans lose 6-0 or worse, they will fail to qualify for the World Cup in back-to-back cups. And I got to tell you, if that happens, it will without question go down as the biggest collapse in sports history. Not soccer history, not American soccer history, sports history. So tonight, hopefully, the banner that the Americans preemptively unfurled after winning their last match against Panama 5-1. There's your scoreline right there from the last games, though. 5-1. The Americans, after that match, unfurled a banner that said qualified. They were not qualified, not technically speaking. There is, for the fourth place team in CONCACAF, a play-in game, a single match shootout where the winner will qualify for the World Cup. The fourth place team against CONCACAF will take on the overall winner of the Oceania Confederation, likely to be New Zealand. They would go up against the Kiwis, and the winner of that game, which would be played in July in Qatar. So, 190 freaking degrees outside. Don't want to go through that if you don't have to. The winner onto the World Cup. The top 3 teams in CONCACAF will qualify. Canada is the only team thus far that has indeed punched its ticket. As of right now, the Americans stand in second place by way of goal differential. The Mexicans, El Tri, in third. You are looking to finish that up tonight. Get the job done, right? All you got to do is not lose by 6 or more, which, theoretically speaking, should be nothing shy of impossible. And the American team clearly better on paper than the Costa Rican team that they are up against this evening. It would take an enormous disaster. The Americans have not lost by 6 goals or more since 1979. And the team that downed them 6-0 in that game was the best team in the world, France, in a friendly. So, tonight, the Americans go in effectively the best possible situation with the exception of already having qualified. DeAndre Yedlin said, quote, obviously, we're in a great situation, and we know that, but I think going into the Trinidad game, we thought we were in a good situation as well. Remember, DeAndre Yedlin, one of 4 players, along with Christian Pulisic, Paul Arriola, and Kellen Acosta, that played in the 2017 loss to Trinidad and Tobago. Not a great team.
It's Tobago. But, yeah, I mean, you're close.
I believe in Cool Runnings, they pronounced it Tobago.
Yeah, but they have an accent that you don't have.
I don't think you get a huge difference between Tobago and Tobago based on an accent there. Zaja Gabor.
You say Tobago.
You say Tobago. I say Tobago.
Yeah, let's call the whole thing off.
You say potato. I say potato.
I'm telling you, it's Tobago. I try to rescue you from the text line. I really do. And
okay, you haughty intellectual.
No. The only reason why I know is I worked on a news channel where that has been in the news a bunch, and it's been pronounced that way a bunch.
So yeah, I get that, but it's kind of one of those things like Spain, right? We all call it Spain. The country's name is España. That's right. The country's name. Yeah. But when I come on the radio, and by the way, if you haven't picked this up about me in the 2 years that I've been here, Zoe, I call countries by their native names, right? España, Mexico, etc. I call them by their native name in their native tongue. And I have loved over my career how angry some people get when I call it Mexico instead of Mexico, when I call it España instead of Spain, right? I am less sure than I was 2 minutes ago but relatively sure that in the Caribbean it is referred to as Trinidad and Tobago.
All right. So at what there was a point where Rob was winning big time, and then he threw in a caveat, and he would have won for sure if he hadn't said there was no doubt in my mind except for until about 2 minutes ago. You leave that part out, you had me. You won, because I don't know how they pronounce it in that country, and you might as a haughty intellectual. So you would have won until that point right there. So.
No, listen, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I acknowledge that I can be wrong most times I open my mouth, right? I picked an interesting gig for somebody that understands they are wrong probably as often as they're right. But in just about every movie, television show, song, etc., that I have heard from people of the Caribbean nations, they pronounce it Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
I acknowledge that I could be wrong here.
All right. So every time that I've heard it said, those people were wrong, which is absolutely a possibility. It is.
Lonzo just said passive aggressively. No, Rob. It's entirely possible that you are right. And every other person I've ever heard say this is wrong.
It wasn't passive aggressive.
It was just regularly aggressive.
It was, yeah. You stop with the passive stuff. I don't get that, because I'm not passive in anything.
Texture says, Rob, it's properly pronounced Mexico. MAY-HE-CO. Mexico.
You know,
what is that, right? Mexico.
I'm sorry this went down a direction.
Yeah, I was not prepared to go this way.
I have heard it said for decades one way, and you pronounced it a different way.
Sure.
And it set off an alarm in my mind.
The worst. The worst, Lonzo. The absolute worst. I accept defeat in segment number 1. Let's take a break. We'll talk more about that later on in the show. Coming up in the next segment, a lot of news came out of the NFL owners' meetings yesterday. The overtime rules are changed. ... In the postseason, we'll tell you what the new rules look like and what it means for the NFL. Plus, the NFL came out with a new rule pertaining to the Rooney Rule, and even Liberob, the woke warrior, has some question marks attached to it. I'll tell you why when we come back. My name is Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is at the helm. You are listening to the Rob Brown Show right here on the radio. This is the Fan Upstate.
All right, before I turn that back on, I think the problem is what you thought it was, because when I muted you, then I started cutting out. This has to do with this going into the computer. There's no other reason that would do that.
So,
Rob Brown Show, what do you want to talk about? All right, I'll do that. Bye.
Okay, so that means we need to leave both mics.
It's still on. It's still on, which it shouldn't be.
It's on right now. You guys can hear us right now. All my sound engineers in the
It should. Yeah, it should not be.
Can you guys hear us? Just somebody drop a yes message if you can. Of course, if you can't, there's no way for you to tell me no. So.
Well, there's that. Yeah, I mean, no. Okay, that means it hasn't really been switched. Aux should work.
Which is what the problem was yesterday.
Yeah.
I could first hear you But then
All right. So
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Thank you for joining me. Gonna go some audio here in just a second, Lonzo, if you don't mind. If that's a possibility. If not, we can hold off. Okay. All right. Yesterday, a big day in the National Football League. The owners' meetings have been taking place, and there's been no shortage of news that have come out of it. I am going to start with what has been there were three big stories that have come out over the past 2 days, and we'll probably take the rest of the hour to break these down. The first one is a number of owners have been speaking out about the Cleveland Browns contract that they issued Deshaun Watson. And the second story is going to be about Deshaun. We're going to get to that here in just a minute from right now. But funny enough, yesterday on the show, we mentioned Baltimore Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti. He was kind of the face of the owners as far as this discussion goes. He said on Tuesday that Deshaun Watson's record-setting contract, he believes, will have a ripple effect for quarterback deals going forward, including one that his team will be signing in the next couple of years regarding Lamar Jackson. Back on March 18th, Watson received a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed contract from the Cleveland Browns after the Texans sent him there, included $80 million more than the previous NFL record for guaranteed money at signing. Now, the Ravens are about to negotiate a new contract for Lamar Jackson, who is entering his 5th-year option. Bisciotti said, quote, "I'm trying to answer that when I had a reaction to it. Damn, I wish they hadn't guaranteed the whole contract. I don't know that he should have been the first guy to get a fully guaranteed contract. To me, that's something that is groundbreaking, and it'll make negotiations harder with others. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to play that game, you know? We shall see. If I was bogged down negotiations with Lamar, then maybe I would have had a quicker reaction to that news," end quote. He went on to talk more about Lamar, and I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. But Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network was on the Rich Eisen podcast, and Rich asked him what the reaction has been from the other owners after this contract was announced, considering there have been a couple that have spoken out publicly so far. Here's what Tom Pelissero had to say.
This is a unprecedented contract in every way, so much so that when I was talking to general managers and other front office people, and people were reaching out directly to me, obviously there's a lot involved with the Watson situation, and there were various reasons the other teams involved were not willing to do a contract like this. But at a very base level, contracts like this don't exist in the NFL. And so somebody I respect very much in the league told me they just changed the entire landscape of the economics of the NFL, because all of a sudden it's a 5-year guarantee, $230 million, which means that not only does Watson get paid $46 million this year, but Jimmy Haslam has to put a $184 million check into escrow by next March 31st to cover the remaining guarantees. Teams don't do that. And now for everybody who's got a franchise quarterback coming up, whether it is Lamar Jackson, who is in the midst of talks, whether it's guys like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, who are going to be coming up soon, Kyler Murray, who wants and expects a contract ASAP from the Cardinals. This is the new benchmark, and it's so far beyond any other deal we've seen in terms of guaranteed money that this has the possibility to be an inflection point, and we'll see. Obviously not everyone's going to have the leverage from a football perspective that Deshaun Watson did, but we'll see how this now has an impact on future contracts, because there's a lot of teams that aren't happy about it.
A lot of teams that aren't happy about it, and he mentioned the leverage. Obviously, Deshaun Watson had the leverage of the no trade clause. Basically, he got to pick the team that he wanted to go to. The teams that could make a trade for him were limited, obviously, first off, by teams that already had quarterbacks, but B, teams that Deshaun Watson would have been interested in going to. And we learned the Thursday before the contract got signed that the Cleveland Browns were out of the mix for Deshaun. Then they ended up getting Deshaun. Why? Because they offered him $230 million in guaranteed money. That was the reason that he ended up there. Pelissero talked more about that. He said, hey, look, at the end of the day, Deshaun's a Brown because they said, we'll give you everything that everybody else is offering, but we will fully guarantee it regardless of what happens in your career on and off the field. We're guaranteeing that money. The Browns did. And what Steve Bisciotti is saying here, the owner of the Ravens, and what other owners are saying per Tom Pelissero just a second ago is, look, when guys like Lamar Jackson come up for contract negotiations, as he's about to, they are now going to have that in the back pocket, right? Hey, look, we know that there are teams willing to give us 5-year, $230 million guaranteed contracts because one of you has already done it at a point in time where we have already pointed out to you multiple times that quarterbacks, the superstars, are eating up more than 25% of the cap on a lot of teams, right?
Can they use that, the problems that Deshaun has still ongoing, even though a couple grand juries, I think it is, it didn't go to trial. So he had a trouble pass, which is part of the reason why he had trouble getting traded. So if you come in and you've got a clean book and there's nothing wrong, can you say, hey, they offered this guy this while he had all this stuff going on off the field? Not only do I want that, but you should give me a little bit more because I'm a good citizen on and off the field.
I mean, Lamar Jackson, right? That Lamar's the next up. That's why Lamar Jackson's name is in this. So that's why Steve Bisciotti is the guy we're talking about. It is because of the fact that Lamar is next up. And Lamar is a dude that has, as far as I know, and I could be wrong here, but as far as I know, Lamar Jackson's never had an issue, right? He's been a model citizen for the most part. Keeps his nose clean, seems to give back to the community, et cetera, et cetera. So I think he could absolutely, if this was his character, and I don't know that it is, Bisciotti went on to say, hey, look, he said, here, I'll read you the quote, the kid is so obsessed with winning a Super Bowl that I think deep down, he doesn't think he's worthy. I think he wants to say, now I deserve to be on top. People can speculate any way they want. I don't think he is turned on by money that much, and he knows it's coming one way or the other, end quote. So, you know, if you get a guy that's got Lamar's talent, Lamar's ability, Lamar's success record, and wants Deshaun money and is money motivated and has never been an issue and is a model citizen, yeah, he can point at Deshaun and go, that guy got $230 million all guaranteed. And this is where it gets really interesting, the Browns structured his contract to where year one, this upcoming season, he's only making $1 million over the course of the year. And they structured it that way, working under, I believe, the assumption that Deshaun Watson will be suspended for the year. So he loses as little money as possible as teams are paid on a game-by-game basis. Players are paid on a game-by-game basis. So he sits out the whole year via suspension. He's out $1 million, and the other 229 are guaranteed to go into his bank account. So, yeah, I can see why owners are frustrated with that. Look, you guys know Liberab well. You guys know that I am team player most of the time. But this is a ridiculous contract. It's a historic contract, and I don't know that it's historic in a good way, especially when we're seeing other teams like the Packers, like the Chiefs, potentially like the Seahawks, that are losing their number one playmaker off the quarterback position because there's just not enough money to put into those guys. And guys aren't willing to play on the franchise tag when they are clearly top-tier wide receivers, like Devontae Adams for the Packers, who is now a Raider, like Tyreek Hill, who is now a Dolphin, right? That's where these big question marks come from. And Pelissero kind of hammered down on that point in that soundbite we just played for you. It's a turning point in the league. And you got to think there's a point where teams go, yeah, we're not doing that, right? We would rather not have a franchise quarterback than put a third of our salary cap into one guy and have to guarantee every dollar of it. That is a team-breaking contract. It's great to have a guy of Deshaun Watson's caliber and success rate, right? It's great to have that guy. But it doesn't mean a damn thing if you can't bring in anybody else because you're so cap-strapped against the salary cap. At some point, you got to suspect the rest of the teams, the rest of the league's going to go, nah, man, we can't give you a Deshaun Watson contract. And the fact that the owners are so, we haven't heard about this, right? When Zeke Elliott got his ridiculous contract from the Cowboys to play running back, we didn't hear about this. When Jalen Ramsey got the ridiculous contract he got to play DB for the Rams, we didn't hear about this. We didn't have owners publicly coming out and blasting other owners for the contracts that they're signing player to player until now.
I am curious about one thing though. When Aaron Rodgers supposedly got the richest contract, and people were, oh, he's just money hungry. He doesn't care about the team. Why are we not hearing about Deshaun Watson? Why are we not hearing about other people? Is this just because people don't like Aaron Rodgers? I mean, so why is one guy money hungry and doesn't care about the team, but the other guy, it's okay?
I think you would hear that about Deshaun Watson. I think you would hear about that.
And by the way, I just want to point out, get all you can get. I don't have a problem with.
Oh yeah, no,
paid.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with it. Never do for free, which you're really good at, right? I get it. Get all the dollars
unless
you can
it's
get.
radio. Then,
I got a problem with the concept. Hey, if somebody wants to offer you a $230 million 5-year contract where every dollar is guaranteed, you are stupid if you don't sign it. Let's just call a spade a spade. You are an idiot if you don't take that offer if it's on the table. I think the reason Deshaun's not getting blasted for being money hungry is because with Aaron Rodgers, and obviously A-Rod of the football persuasion, had some political opinions and viewpoints that did not play well with a lot of NFL fans. I think if you asked most people if they'd rather have, if they had to pick Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson as the face of their team, 90% of them are taking A-Rod, even if they don't like it, right? Because what Deshaun is accused of doing and facing 22 civil lawsuits for doing is far more heinous than I don't want to get vaccinated or faking injuries or whatever else people accuse A-Rod of, right? Deshaun Watson, and this is speaking from NFL message boards. This is not Rob Brown saying this, because I've kept my opinion of I don't have an opinion. Deshaun Watson, according to fans who are by the way, leaving in droves. Jim Thome's wife, Jim Thome, the old school Cleveland Indian, the legendary, the Hall of Famer, one of the biggest faces in Cleveland sports. He and his wife just canceled their Browns season tickets because they will refuse to give money to a franchise that's giving that much money to Deshaun Watson based on the accusations against him, right? And there are Browns fans leaving in hordes. I don't think the Browns are going to fail to sell out the stadium when Deshaun shows up, but the point is they're going to lose a lot of fans. I think the disgust with Deshaun Watson personally has shielded him from the money thing, because that is a distant second place in concern to what Deshaun Watson is accused of off the field. And that's why if this is Lamar, if this contract goes to Lamar Jackson, and especially if the number one wide receiver, the Baltimore Ravens, does like the number one wide receiver the Packers does and goes, y'all ain't got enough money to pay me, I'm out, they'll get the same criticism. It's just that Deshaun's got going on something that's considered dramatically worse than he likes money.
We'll see. I mean, because you're counting on consistency, and I don't think that exists.
I got no problem with that statement at all. Let's take a break. When we come back, 2 more big stories coming out of the NFL owners meetings. I'll tell you what those are when we return. One of them surrounding the aforementioned Deshaun Watson. We're back after this. The Rob Brown Show's live on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Yeah.
What just happened to the speakers?
Gotcha.
Okay.
I see what you're saying.
So we're believing you guys can hear us now. There's a problem though, and the problem is exactly what I thought it would be. Now this shows up on the podcast. So, which is not entirely a bad thing, although we're having a conversation about this showing up on the podcast.
So we would need to go back and cut them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll have to go back and cut it out. As long as if we leave a gap, and yes, you guys are hearing some inside baseball here, which is, Rob's holding a mini bat, so it's okay. So if we leave a gap before we start talking again, then I should be able to find it a lot easier without having to listen to it. If not, the podcast will have to wait until after the show's over. And I'd rather not do that.
Yeah.
Because I like getting them up as the hour is done. So I will say Chris's solution is working, but Chris, as he used to be a producer, would not be happy sitting in my chair right now.
Moving on up.
I'm not saying I can't handle it, because I absolutely can handle it. It's just, I'm just worried about one day when we're joking about some, but you know what? Again, if we know the mics are on, we are talking to you, the people on the stream. So anything that ends up on the podcast, it's not going to matter. They like Rob's over there cursing like a sailor, whatever that means. I don't know if I've met too many sailors. If you're on the stream and you used to be a sailor or are a sailor at the moment, do you curse more than normal people? And would you notice that you curse more than normal people? And would you go, now I'm a sailor? I don't know.
So Pensacola has Pensacola Naval Air Base, which is effectively where they train the new sailors before they send them out on duty. And so I have hung with many sailors, young sailors. That sounds weird. I've hung out with sailors that are newly enlisted to the United States Navy.
How you doing?
And I can confirm that they do indeed cuss more than the normal person.
Well, the question is, though, before they were a sailor, did they curse as much as they do once they became a sailor?
Was it a learned?
When the swearing in happens, does their vocabulary go to swear words?
Call it a swearing in?
That's a great question. It's philosophical, and
we're nothing if not deep here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
See, now I want to pursue this. I really do, because I want to know. And again, I don't know any sailors, so I don't know if that's indeed the case. And what sort of sample size would we need to prove it?
I want you guys to know.
Diddy says he should have been a sailor. Why, you think that you're on sailor level as far as your cursing goes? Is that it? Or you want to go to that next level that you can't reach unless you're a sailor? And does curse like a sailor work if you just have a sailboat? Or do you actually have to be in the Navy?
Yeah, I think it's like a sailor,
If you have a sailboat, you're a sailor. Yeah, that's what you want to hear, Trey.
When does someone go from sailing to being a sailor? Like, I have sailed, but I am not a sailor.
I've sailed also.
Right,
you probably sailed more than me. But I sailed on the lake. Does that still make me a sailor?
That's what I'm saying.
All right, we're coming back.
The Rob Brown Show continues here on the Fan Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and around the world on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Also, join us on our live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, and on YouTube. Follow the Rob Brown Show YouTube channel. You can put it on your TV and watch us like a television show because we are superstars of all mediums, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Let me grab clip number 3, if you don't mind here, please. Zoe, won't spend a ton of time on this because A, it's the right decision, and B, it's the last decision that we will get of this magnitude for some time. But yesterday, the National Football League finally approved new overtime rules for the playoffs. The owners approved that yesterday, voted to approve a rule change that will ensure both teams have at least one possession in playoff games that go to overtime, according to the NFL Network. Under the current rule, which will remain in effect for the regular season, a first possession field goal or less in overtime allows the second team a chance to possess the ball, but a first possession touchdown can end the game. That arrangement came under scrutiny in recent years, including and especially after the AFC divisional round playoff game between the Bills and the Chiefs last year, a shootout that ended when the Chiefs scored a TD on the opening possession of overtime, and the Bills never got the chance with the football. Josh Allen, who had played a remarkably solid football game.
Should I grab the violin music?
Such a hitter. So, by the way, Adam Schefter pointed out in the playoffs over the past 10 years, there have been 12 games go to overtime, Lonzo. What's the record of teams that won the coin toss in those 12 games?
I'm going to say 10-2.
That is exactly correct. They are 10-2.
And no, I didn't know. It was a guess.
I did not inform Lonzo I was going to be asking him that question before on the show. He's just brilliant, ladies and gentlemen. 10-2 in the 12 games that went to overtime in the playoffs in the last 10 years. Of those 12 games, 10 of them were won by the team that won the opening toss. The proposal was trending towards being tabled without a consensus. But once it was brought to a vote, the owners overwhelmingly decided to amend it to only include postseason games, and then 29 of 32 teams said yes to that rule. Roger Goodell got asked about the rule change, and here is what the Ginger Hammer had to say.
You know, listen, we always listen to the fans. That's an important thing. You know, you hear that on both sides, and I understand that. We're always looking to improve. And I think what really drove the decision was the database, ultimately, and looking at the facts and what's happened. Where we saw that most having an influence, I think it was 12 games in the postseason have been in overtime, 7 of which I believe were won on the first possession. When we see that, that's the type of thing that I think our coaches never looked at. This is an issue in the postseason we should deal with. I think they like the overtime rule in the regular season. I don't necessarily believe that just because we're doing it in the postseason, that'll lead to in the regular season, though. And we'll always look at that. There may be a different solution. You know, the overtime rule's been through a lot of changes. I think it was 10 and 12 and now 22. So I think we'll continue to look at that and sharpen those rules as we do with every rule. One of the things I'm really proud of this league is we always look every year at our rules and try to make an evaluation of what's best for the game, what's best for the safety of the game, what's best for our players, and most of all, what's best for our fans. And I think that's paid dividends by the quality of our game.
Yes, Roger. The NFL always listens to its fans. That's definitely the reason.
You're such a hater.
Yeah. Towards people and things that deserve it. Look, I've told you guys in the past, like I don't hate Roger Goodell. I hate the position of the commish because it's an owner's mouthpiece, and the owners use Roger Goodell to get off the hook for crap decisions. We always listen to our fans. Our fans make the decisions at the end of the day. I am Commish Bot 2.0, bleep bloop. Stop it, Roger. You didn't make this because of the fans. You made it because the owners realized that they were putting themselves in a bad position if they ended up in a spot where their team lost the playoff game like this, right? They ain't trying to do that. That's it. That's all. Texture says if the first overtime ends with a tie, still in the same boat as before. Should be if a TD is scored instead of a field goal, a 2-point try is required. Well, here's the thing. Under the new rule, after both teams have possession, then the game is played like it was under the old overtime rule. So if team number one scores a touchdown, the old rule in the playoffs, remember, not regular season, in the playoffs, if team number one scores a touchdown, game is over. Ball game. Patrick Mahomes goes home and gets ready for the AFC Championship game. Under the new rules, if the first team scores a touchdown, the second team does get the football. If they score a touchdown and the game is tied again, it's golden goal. Next touchdown wins, right? Next touchdown wins, which again, still is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I heard Lonzo yesterday, I think it was Lonzo, say after it, well, there's no perfect system, right?
That would be me. You and I were out to lunch and we're having a discussion with our buddy Diddy, who just happens to be listening right now.
Yes, he does.
And yes, that's when this conversation took place. There is no perfect. Someone's going to be mad no matter what. However they supposedly fix it, people will complain about it. Because there is no way to make this perfect for everybody.
No, I do agree with that. But there are ways to make it better for everybody.
The best way is to just don't tie.
I mean, yeah, the best way is just win a game, but
Absolutely.
That's not how games work, right? The best way to do it is the one place that I find college football superior to the National Football League, which is the OT rules, right? Just trot them out there alternating possessions till somebody does not do what the other team did on a possession. That way you go back and forth till there is a clear loser. With this one, you kind of walk into the same spot, right? Chiefs score 7, Bills score 7. Chiefs score 7, it's over, right? And you're going, wait a minute. The Bills did everything the Chiefs did, but they don't get another crack at the ball, right? We're in the same spot. If it wasn't that the vast majority of NFL possessions do not end with touchdowns. So it's a little better. It's not perfect. It's not great. It's not even the best method, but it is better. It was the right decision from the National Football League. We end up in a spot where at least we know that Josh Allen gets a chance to go match Patty Mahomes, and that's the best way to do it. I mean, scratch that. It is not the best way to do it. It is a better way to do it. The best way to do it is college football. Alternate possessions back and forth till one team can't match, and there's your winner. But for what this is the better option based on what we had before. All right, when we come back, a lot of y'all are still paying attention to the Deshaun Watson situation, although a lot of you are not. A lot of you are checked out. I'll give you a quick update on where that stands after Roger Goodell talked about it at the owners' meeting. All that and more coming up next. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. And you are listening to the South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Rob Brown Show right back here on the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. I am Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, the professor of perfection, is on the other side of the glass. We're glad to have you along for the ride. Can I just tell you, in what is nothing more than just a second of self-indulgence here on the show, I woke up this morning and I saw a report that came out that said that last month was the worst month in the history of NFT sales, non-fungible tokens. If you Google NFT, you will come across a billion different tweets from people trying to sell NFTs. And it's usually some cat that's like, I drew a monkey, give me money, and you can say that you own the monkey even though you don't own the monkey. And people are dropping massive coin on that, including a lot of professional athletes. Now, I want to distinguish NFTs from crypto, right? I to some degree, I understand the concept of crypto and why crypto is a little bit more stable than an NFT. You will never, and I mean never, convince me NFTs have a value to them at all, right? You can't do it.
If you're going to spend money on that, buy some gold, man. Buy some gold.
Or, literally anything else.
Yeah.
Right? I've got Nerf guns in the office that at least I can put on Facebook and resell them for some cash, right?
Why would you want to do that?
I'm not going to. I'm saying I can't.
Okay. You never know when you might need one.
Yeah. Do you understand how images on the internet work? Lonzo, if I push this button that says CTRL and I push this button up in the corner that says print screen, I now own that image too, buddy. What? Anyway, I'm not saying I am enjoying watching professional athletes take an absolute dive after shelling NFTs out to their fans, but I am. But I feel bad for the fans for falling for it, but they're idiots too.
There you go. The fans is the problem. The athletes, I have no problem with that. Basically what they're doing is they're gambling. They're taking a chance that this thing's going to take off. They have disposable income to try to make it take off. And if it fails, it's not going to hurt them. It's going to hurt the people who think that it has value and they're spending their hard-earned money on a picture. And yeah,
and by the way,
if you're buying a painting by Van Gogh,
yeah, which by the way, coincidentally enough, today's his birthday.
Is it really?
It is.
So anyway, if you're buying a painting by him, that thing has value. The picture you just bought from Chris Jericho, I don't know.
Let's just say don't break the walls down because you won't have enough money to build them back up, right? That's
I hope he's not listening. He might confront us.
He might be here. I just realized that.
Yeah, he might confront us.
I just realized that.
That's fine.
Chris, for the record, we are big fans. Don't show up and start busting the walls of Jericho on us.
I ain't scared. No sports entertainers here.
And by the way, that's how well-rounded my social media is. I woke up this morning to the first three tweets were people who bought NFTs are losing their asses right now. The Lakers are out of the playoffs as of today, and it's Vincent van Gogh's birthday. And by the way, I know for a fact the correct pronunciation in Dutch is Van Gogh.
By the way, you're right about that. I'm not going to argue with you because there was an episode of Doctor Who where they called him Van Gogh.
Best episode they ever made of that show.
It was sad.
It was incredible.
Sad. Yeah.
I've only watched like 4 or 5 episodes of Doctor Who. I've watched that one and it was phenomenal.
It was a good episode.
So again, I woke up today with a bunch of stories that made me laugh at the misery of others. The NFTs taking a dive because people didn't realize that control plus print screen, and now I own that monkey too, Cam Jordan. Thanks very much. Yeah, I own that painting. Yeah, can I come over and look at it? Well, no. Cool, man. If I go see it, does it have your name on it? Well, no. But my name's on a digital file that says I own it. Yeah, with how many other people? Well, a lot, but that's not the point. Yeah, it is.
This is funny because, TMZ just threw up a picture that the oil can from the Wizard of Oz from the Tin Man just sold for $250,000. You know what you can do with that? You can hold that.
Yeah.
You can say, hey,
You guys want to come over and see movie history? Because I own it.
absolutely. It's not a picture on a computer.
But if you give that guy $1 million, he will keep the oil can in his house. You can go look at it at his house. Actually, no, with an NFT, you can't even have exclusive to it, right? He will keep it in his house. You cannot go see it in his house, but you can say that you own it.
Is there like a digital coffee table book with NFTs in it? So you come over and you're lounging at your millionaire friend and check out my NFTs. I don't know.
Stupid. Just stupid. Also, speaking of reveling in the misery of others, how about the Los Angeles Lakers that are, as of this morning, out of the playoffs, 11th in the West, after the Lakers gave up, and this is not a typo, 82 points to the Dallas Mavericks last night, ... in the first half.
It is Dallas, though. They're pretty good. But I agree with you. That's
82
sad.
In the first half.
How many did Luka have?
A lot of them. A lot of them. The Lakers are 4-10 on the season against their 6 remaining opponents, including twice against the Denver Nuggets, where Nikola Jokic is currently your NBA MVP odds-on favorite. The Spurs, who are the team competing to try to take that 10 seed away from them, are 5-11 versus their remaining foes, including twice against the Trailblazers. I love it. I look, I have told you guys in the past, I think LeBron James is a bit of an idiot away from the floor. All right. And that's not to say I disagree with him on everything he says, because I don't. But I think LeBron could use a better marketing team, is all I'm saying, right? But I am a LeBron fan on the floor. I think LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time. I grew up in the Jordan era, but I think LeBron is the GOAT. I think he's the greatest of all time, yeah? That being said, between Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and the rest of the Lakers, and just Laker fans as a whole who are the worst, I'd be lying to tell you I'm not reveling watching this team miss the playoffs for 2 reasons. One, because LOL, it's amazing. And number 2, because I am about 85% convinced that because of how this is playing out for LA, LeBron's not a Laker next year. I think LeBron forces his way out. I think he looks at this team and goes, nope. This ain't it, man. If I'm going to play for a bad team, it's going to be a bad team that has some meaning to me outside of Kobe used to play here.
Yeah, the rumor is Cleveland.
Fine by me, right? Fine by me. Go run it back in C-Town.
Yeah, end it where it started.
Yeah, why not? Run it back in C-Town. He needs to do what? 2 more seasons before Bronny's eligible for the league? And he has said that his final career goal is to play a season with him and Bronny on the team together. So let La GM head out to C-Town and do it in the hometown with his son. I'm cool with that. I think it's a cool way to end a career, right? Never happened before that I'm aware of. But man, am I here for the collapse of the Lakers. Here for it. Russell Westbrook is not. Clip number 2, if you don't mind, when you get a second, Lonzo. After the Lake Show gave up 82 to Luka and the Mavs in the first half of the game last night and got run out of the gym in a 128-110 loss that wasn't that particularly close. By the way, LeBron was out with that game with a left ankle sprain, AD, Anthony Davis, out with a right mid-foot sprain. The Lakers trailed by as many as 37 as Luka recorded a 30-point triple-double, Lonzo, in the first 3 quarters. Could have sat the fourth and still had a triple-double with 30 to go with it. Not bad. So Russell Westbrook walked into the locker room after another phenomenal evening of being mediocre as it gets. And a reporter decided to ask him what I think is a very fair question. Russell, you guys find yourself outside of the playoff picture. You went out there and turned in what do you have, 25 last night? 25, 9 of 17 from the floor, 1 of 5 from behind the arc. While you gave up a Luka triple-double in 3 quarters. What needs to change? And here was the interaction between Russell and that reporter.
Brought up the idea that now you guys are actually the 11th seed, so you're out of the playing game. What changes going forward?
Nothing, man. No.
And why is that?
Because it doesn't. What does it change? We still got games to play. Other teams still got games to play. We still got to play teams that's above us in the play-in. Don't really change much. What do you think should change? Okay, that's obvious. What do you think should change?
Winning games, playing hard. Ask the question, you can answer.
That's all. You got to answer the win.
All right.
You got to answer the win.
I'm out there playing. You know, I think you give me the answer.
Exactly. So what? I don't have to answer.
You know,
Exactly.
if you don't have it, you out there. I
When
can't
you ask me to have an answer, you don't have it either.
But when I don't play, Russell, I want to get the information from you. So I
I'm
can give it
one
to
person,
you.
Jim.
Right.
It's a team game. So I don't have an answer.
Okay.
You may have it.
I don't have it.
Okay.
But I'm asking the pros who know the game, play the game,
Yeah.
what you think you can do to make it your part, everybody. So that's what I'm asking.
So I can do that. I can respect that. You got that? You got that? You got it?
We can-
It's all good. You got it? It's good. You got that? All right, cool. Yeah, got it. Make sure recording.
He said, Russell, what needs to change? And Russell said, I don't know. No, sorry. Russell started with, nothing needs to change. Russ, the Lakers are like 3-17 in their last 20.
I gotta say, that's a dumb question. I hate those kind of questions. What needs to change? Well, they need to win. I mean, I mean, what did you expect him to say? You want him to break down? Okay, we're horrible in transition. Is that what you need? Is that the soundbite you're looking for? Ask a real question. When is LeBron and AD coming back? Because you know why they're not winning? Because LeBron and AD aren't playing. That's why they're not winning, and they're like the oldest team in the entire league.
Well, look, LeBron's been hurt for 2 games now? They were losing with LeBron too. Right?
True. All right. But I did say and.
Yeah, I get it. And you're not wrong.
You need both those guys on the court. You
Right.
have those 2 guys on the court and they're uninjured. You got a chance to win against anybody.
Here's the problem. I have 2 problems. Number 1.
Should he have been surly with the guy? But it's a dumb question. It is. And he's not, Westbrook's not playing well. He's not, but still, I ask better questions. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so I'm going to attack this 2 ways. Number 1, the Lakers are built around Braun and AD. That's no secret. All NBA teams are built around 1 or 2 guys, right? The Bucks are built around Giannis. We know how the game gets played. The Heat are built around Jimmy Butler, except when he tries to fist fight his head coach on the sideline. I got no problem with, hey, our best 2 guys are out, so we're going to struggle. They showed nothing last night, right? There is 0 pride in that team. There is nothing in that team. The whole thing about the Lakers is they are supposed to be the franchise, right? The Lake Show. They are supposed to play as the LA Lakers. That's supposed to be the jersey that every NBA player wants to put on and play for. And they're not. They're not. Even when LeBron's out there, they're playing like a bunch of lazy, prideless dudes. And it's pathetic. Here's the second thing. I got no problem with the question. What needs to change? I got no problem with that because here's the thing. As Russell Westbrook pointed out to that reporter, I don't know what needs to change. You tell me. And the reporter hit him with the right answer. Dude, I'm not the professional basketball player. I'm not on this team. If you want to hire me as coach, I'll go ahead and tell you what I think needs to change. But what I think needs to change is irrelevant. What's that guy going to do? Well, Russell, I think you should play a 3-2 zone more, right? I think you should switch to a man zone coverage and try to extend the defense to knock down perimeter shooting rates against you. And then Russell goes, what? Okay. Reporter has no power to change anything. Russell Westbrook does. As a guy on the floor has the power to go to Frank Vogel and go, here's the thing that needs to change. And even the surly answer, I don't have an issue with it, right? I don't know, man. It's coach speak, and I hate coach speak. Well, we need to play harder. We need to have some more pride in our team. Like, ugh. Talk to me about basketball, dude. But I get the surly answer. You're in a bad mood. You just gave up a 30-point triple-double to Luka in 3 quarters. You let up 82 points in the first half. I get the frustration.
I see. If I'm Westbrook, I throw it back at him and say, hey, we're all playing to win. That's what we want to do. That's why we signed up. That we're doing our best. We're putting our all into this, and sometimes it doesn't work out.
They're not.
When you're short, doesn't matter if they are or not. That's that's what the answer should have been, because you can question passion, but if you're not in that human being's body, you don't know. The way they display passion may be different than the way you do.
So
I'm just saying he could have answered it better and shut the guy up. But at the same time, it's a bad question. And I've heard you do interviews. I don't hear you asking that question.
You're right. I'm not going to ask what needs to change because it is. I don't know if it's a bad question. It's a lazy question, right?
Absolutely, it's a lazy question.
I usually in a situation like that would try to bring up a stat that I think was reflective of the game, right? You guys let Luka shoot 72% and get to 30 points in a triple-double in 3 quarters. What do you need to do defensively in order to try to lock down other superstars and prevent teams from running away from you?
And that's when you go, he's a young guy. He's on fire. You guys have seen it. We could
coach
we could it doesn't matter it doesn't matter if it's coach speech.
At least it's something.
If you're asking that kind of question, then you're expecting that kind of answer.
Fair enough.
And again, lazy. You ask that kind of question, you expect the standard answer. You didn't get it.
I will agree it's a lazy question. To me, the key is the fact that I think the reason that Russell Westbrook had to answer Huffy like he did is because there is no good response from what the Lakers are right now. And this isn't a Lakers show. I know we're not in Southern California. It's not a bunch of you guys that care about the Lakers. To me, it's more along the lines of for teams that consistently try to build super teams, you are going to hit on super teams in the NBA more than you fail. But when you fail, it is going to go up in flames, and you've got to be prepared for it, especially if you're a fan. Let's take a break. I got some more things I want to get to here on the show. We got a Deshaun Watson update from Roger Goodell yesterday. We'll tell you what Roger had to say about that. I've got your biggest duh but necessary column of the day coming up later on. We'll talk a little more U.S. soccer as the Americans try to get qualified for the World Cup. And I got a question about Tiger Woods, and it's a real simple one. But I want to hear your response, and I'll ask that when we come back. I'm Rob. The great Malonzo's at the buttons. You're listening to the best sports talk radio show in the Palmetto State. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. So Lonzo says to me after we both hear the clink, 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 clink of the knob hitting the floor, Lonzo says, well, I've had an incident with an office chair that sent me to the emergency room. Gonna need that story, Zoe.
All right. So about 22 years ago, WRD in the old studios, which were on Rutherford, was sitting in the producer chair, and it was not a high chair. It was a lower chair, but you'd have to lean back to push buttons behind you because it wasn't ergonomically set up right. The engineer was left-handed at the time.
Oh, those left-handers messing up everything for everybody.
He's not here, so I don't have to worry about him flashing his knives because he's long since retired. And if he's listening, he's laughing. But so he set everything up left-handed, which I am not left-handed. So I'm leaning back to push a button. The chair breaks off at the base. And so the armrests come out because it was, I don't know how to describe a chair, but it was metal with the armrest went into my ribs and bruised my ribs. And I got lucky. I didn't hit my head on the way down. I was able to duck my head, and it was a very tight space. So I couldn't breathe afterwards. I could breathe, but it was labored breathing. So they sent me to the emergency room, and I ended up with bruised ribs from a broken chair at WRD. So, I mean, at least you didn't fall. So there's that.
First off, as somebody who has
and
had
I
bruised
just
ribs,
started working there, and I thought for sure I was done.
as somebody who has had bruised ribs, they're no joke.
Yeah.
It hurts to breathe.
Didn't hurt as bad as bruised ribs in football, but it did not feel good because the rest like hit in between the ribs, instead of hitting the rib itself, which made it even worse. I don't know if it didn't damage the cartilage or whatever it is in between, but it hurt.
No, I believe that. I just, for Lonzo, a cat who, if you haven't heard the story before, grew up with teachers who yucked desks at him and the rest of his class for the slightest misbehavior.
I am so tempted to say his name, but I'm not.
A teacher who just yeets desk at students, as the kids would say, to be taken out by a malfunctioning office chair is not the story I expected.
The thing is, I didn't have insurance at the time. So, because I was part-time, and the company was willing to pay for me to go to the emergency room. So in case there was actual damage, it was not coming out of my pocket. So the smart move was to go to the emergency room.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and agree with that. Again, bruised ribs are no joke. I've had it happen. I'm just saying it's not so much the story about
I want to point out
hospital
also,
visit as it is the cause of it.
I worked the rest of my shift before I went to the hospital.
Man's game.
There we go.
Man's game. All right. Phone lines open, 844-FAN-PHONE, F-O-N-E.
Don't you be making me sound wimpy because I had to go to it was a hard fall.
No, listen,
okay?
I need you to know that when I sat back in this chair and the recliner mode kicked in unexpectedly, my life flashed before my eyes. All right, I get it.
Yeah, I saw it. It was a lot of fun.
It was pure panic. I'm just saying, again, it's not that Lonzo had to go to the hospital. We're all human, even the best of us.
The metal broke. I could have been impaled.
Yeah, it's the cause that got me. It's the cause. All right. Let's get a couple of more stories in here as we roll through the second hour of the show. El Tigre, Tiger Woods, showed up at Augusta, wanted to get a few holes in to see if he might be able to play in the Masters. I don't think any of us expect Tiger to be in contention at Augusta coming up next week. Next weekend when the tournament starts. I don't think any of us expect Tiger to win. I think for Tiger, it's just a pride thing, right? 14 months ago, Tiger's SUV rolled off a hill effectively and broke pretty much everything. The 46-year-old yesterday and his son Charlie, as well as PGA Tour pro Justin Thomas, a close friend of El Tigre's, went out on to the Masters course at Augusta National Golf Course And Tiger got a full 18 in. Flew into Augusta Regional on his private jet. Social media, of course, exploded at Tiger's back. Tiger said, look, I just wanted to go swing 18, see if I could get it done, see if I could finish a round. And he did. And he did. Video started flying around on social media of Tiger playing at his Medalist Golf Club in Hobie Sound, Florida. Woods is, for now, listed amongst the expected 91 participants for next week's Masters, the first major championship of the season, but he has yet to officially announce whether or not he is playing. Of course, this would not be the first time that Tiger has attempted to return to Augusta after a long layoff. After multiple knee and back surgeries back in 2018 and 19, Tiger showed up to the 2019 Masters and won it, his first major championship in over a decade at that point. But the injuries to his right leg and right foot in a car wreck back on the 23rd of last year were far more significant than the injuries that he battled with surgeries going into the 2019 Masters. So here's my question, and it's a very simple one. Are you rooting for Tiger? Are you rooting for Tiger? I got to tell you, Tiger Woods has made one mistake in his career. One. You know what his one mistake was?
Getting married.
That's it. That's it. Tiger Woods has made one mistake, which is he got married.
I disagree. Driving while impaired. And unfortunately, he paid for that.
Well, so if I recall correctly, they never officially said that Tiger was driving while impaired during his car accident. It was speculation. I don't believe that was the case. And if it is, in the stories that have been talking about him, they have not mentioned that. Now, I believe he was sleep deprived.
At one point, fell asleep at a red light, and I believe that was drug related. And say it's prescribed drugs, but still,
Sure.
still drugs.
Back in August of 2017, Tiger Woods had painkillers, sleep drugs, and an ingredient active in marijuana, according to NBC News. Now, I don't think that's fair because there's only one ingredient in marijuana that causes the influence.
THC.
Correct. Yeah. And there are a lot of other ingredients that will show up on a positive drug test. So I don't know if we can hold that against him. Painkillers and sleep drugs, including hydrocodone, hydromorphone, alprazolam, and zolpidem. Those last two are effectively Xanax and Ambien. I've got people in my family who take Ambien for sleep disorders. I, in the past, have had to take Ambien for a sleep disorder. Ambien will mess you up, dude. It will alter your brain's chemistry. And if you don't go to sleep when you're on Ambien, you are busted. Like, it's a problem. Now, back in 2017, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office did not say whether Woods had prescriptions for all the medications or medical marijuana, which is legal in Florida. But Tiger Woods did agree to enter a driver diversion program that would see his driving under the influence charge dropped later on in that year. He also pled guilty to a lesser charge of reckless driving in October of that year. Woods said that the medication was being used to treat chronic back pain, which forced him out of competition in the summer of 2015, along with insomnia on his own. Now, I will tell you guys that I have mild insomnia. Why, Rob, do we see you tweeting at 3:30 in the morning? That's why. Because sleep is not easy for me. It is
be a
task.
problem for you now, for sure.
Oh, no, it still is. I was up till 3:45 this morning.
That's what I mean with having to get up.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier. Yeah.
No, even knowing the alarm clock was going off at 6, I was awake at 3:15 this morning. Not because I wanted to be, right? Laid in the bed, staring at the ceiling from the better part of 11:30 p.m. till about 3:30 a.m. before I finally passed out. It's not something that is fun to deal with. And in the past, I have required sleep aids to be able to get more than a consistent night's sleep in a row. It's no joke, right? It's not excusing what he did. But mixes of this drug alter your brain chemistry, and decision-making does not become your strong suit. That is part of the reason that I avoid sleep aids when possible. Like I'd say, outside of the occasional NyQuil bomb, I try to avoid things like Ambien because the last thing I need is to knock back a couple of Ambiens at 12 o'clock and wake up the next day to 195 text messages going, OMG, Rob, why did you tweet that last night? You're fired, right? It makes your decision-making process not make sense. And that, again, as far as I know, is the only incident of legality that Tiger Woods has been involved with, right? The only instance of breaking the law Eldrick's been involved with. So my question to you as fans, if you are a golf fan, if you are a Tiger fan, if you are a golf fan because of Tiger fan, are you rooting for Tiger to be able to show up and play the Masters? I am. I hope he does. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in Hades that Tiger Woods contends to win a major championship at Augusta. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in Hades that Tiger Woods is putting on another green jacket on Sunday afternoon. But I think the game of golf is better with Tiger Woods in it, right? I think the game of golf prospers when Tiger Woods is in it. I think the game of golf is better when Tiger Woods is in it. And more importantly, for the growth of the game, there needs to be Tiger Woods there. Even at 47, they need Tiger Woods there. Because there are or 46, there are people like me. I've told this story before. I've played golf because, Lonzo, I am a one percenter.
Well, when you live on a golf course,
Yeah.
I mean, it goes without saying.
Yeah, I'm a one percenter who grew up on a golf course. I played golf when I was a kid. I grew up playing golf. And when Tiger was really hitting his stride, right, was really coming on, was really becoming Tiger, I was in my early teens. And for most of my early career, high school / working in the summertime, you could frequently find Rob Brown out on the driving range, right? Bucket of balls over the lunch break, get out there on Saturday, play 18 at the Muni, whatever. And I watched as the evolution of golfers happened alongside Tiger Woods' rise to prominence. Tiger made golf cool, right? One of the best-selling video game franchises of all time was Tiger Woods Golf. I would go to the driving range, and what used to be predominantly stuffy old white dudes, suddenly there were high school kids playing golf. There were young kids playing golf. There were minority kids playing golf, people that I had never seen at the Muni before. I'd watch the guy at the golf pro at Shalimar Point Golf and Country Club where I grew up. I'd go out where I used to take lessons, again, one percenter. And suddenly the guy giving me and two other white kids from the burbs golf lessons, now there were black kids taking golf lessons and there were Asian kids taking golf lessons. Golf was cool because of Tiger. And without a Tiger, I don't know that we would have a Rory McIlroy, a Justin Fowler. I don't know if we'd have these Ricky Fowler, these young kids that are the new age of cool golfers. Golf's better when Tiger's there, and I hope he does play. So, are you rooting for Tiger to A, play the Masters, and B, be competitive at them? Text your answer into the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We will read them on the air. Back after this on The Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Steven, the answer is we have tried a new mic setup on the board to try to fix Lonzo's mic cutting in and out. But unfortunately, the way that it was set up created a situation where when we have to like record our sports flash and stuff, we have to turn all the sound off because all of it's going into the board.
Yeah, the fix really just made things a lot more difficult. So, I mean,
Yeah, so it's either hear us on the stream or have a lot more ins and outs to do on the stream, or go back to Lonzo's mic being the way it was until we figure out another way to work around it.
All right, come back.
The Rob Brown Show is right here on the Fan Upstate. Thank you guys for joining us. Let's see, couple of text and Facebook chat messages. Mike said, so the real question is, Rob, are you going to punch Tiger Woods in the face? And I sign off on Fridays by saying, don't drink and drive, I'll punch you in the face, because don't drink and drive. It's a jackass thing to do. All right? Just don't do it. I promise you Uber's cheaper than fighting a DUI. All right? It is wildly disappointing. What I said about Ambien and sleep aids and all the stuff I've used in the past is not an excuse. It's still awful. And yes, the dude made a massive mistake that I in no way am condoning or even expressing acceptance of. It was a terrible idea. It was a massive mistake. Fortunately, no one was hurt. Tiger paid a lot for it and continues to, I think. Right? But for the sport of golf, it's better if Tiger plays. We have seen other athletes go through a lot, not to what about the story, but we've seen a lot of other athletes do a lot worse and be celebrated for what they did. Tiger made a jackass mistake, and he has paid for it. And I'm sure continues to. Let's see. Texter says, Shalimar Point is a great course. Used to play it all the time when I was stationed at Eglin Air Force Base. Great bar prices as well. Back to Destin next week. I'll pin another $1 on the wall at the boathouse for you. My freaking guy.
And you had said something that I'll be using in the future, and I know you didn't mean to, but you pointed out that it was a golf course and country club, which just cemented my point all along, and I appreciate that.
Because I grew up in a country club. I'm a one percenter.
Yeah, because I've never been to
Fair
a
enough.
country club that I'm aware of.
But here's the thing. I'd like to point out that that noise was my chair again.
Yeah, you're starting to worry me.
I'm starting to worry
as
me.
bits and pieces break off of that
Yeah.
thing, you might end up in the emergency room.
If Lonzo comes back from a break by himself, it's because your boy's in an ambulance on the way to the hospital with a chair-related injury. I'd like to point out that the country club take was followed up by a guy who knows that the best dive bar in the South is the Boathouse Oyster Bar in Destin, Florida, and is going to pin $1 on the wall for me. I love it. Thank you, big dog. Texter says, absolutely pulling for Tiger. Another texter says, yes, let's go Tiger. Love that guy. Another texter says, I love playing golf, but I am trash poop garbage. I cannot break 100 to save my life. My slice on the drive is god-awful. You know what the best thing about golf is? You never get good at golf. You just get less bad at golf. And the only way to get less bad at golf is to play more golf. Honey, I know that I have another round of golf scheduled, but I'm not doing it for fun. I have to do it to get better. And that works. Because it's true. All right. And then Trey says, agree or disagree. Happy Gilmore is the best golf movie of all time. Disagree. It's Caddyshack. Happy Gilmore is a very close second.
Yeah, I got to go with Caddyshack too.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were going to go with like Tin Cup or something.
No,
like
Tin Cup's
that.
a great golf movie. Tin Cup's probably in my top 10 sports movies of all time. But as golf movies goes, Caddyshack's it, right?
Well, yeah, and Happy Gilmore is a solid too. I would say. You're not putting it
yeah,
at two?
I'm good with it being a 2. I mean, Caddyshack had a female lead character named Lacey Underall. How do you beat that level of sophistication in comedy? Just a Cinderella boy here at Augusta National. Hey, Bill Murray's on the map thanks to Caddyshack.
So, as far as Happy Gilmore goes, were you ever the guy when you were at the country club to do what Shooter did to Happy and
Shooter.
have him, be out on what was it, the ninth green or at midnight? I forget. the
Playing it
exact
off
time.
of Frankenstein's fat foot. Yeah, the 9th at 9, man. The
That's
9th at
what it was.
9.
Okay.
No, I don't think I ever pulled that on anybody. The 9th at 9 prank.
I could just see you doing that. That's the reason why I'm asking.
I'm not saying I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I said I haven't. There is a difference. There's a difference. All right. Coming up in the next hour, the final hour of the Rob Brown Show. When we open up, I got that Deshaun Watson update for you for those that are still keeping track of that story. U.S. Soccer has an opportunity tonight to qualify for the World Cup this winter because sports are dumb. Nope, FIFA's dumb. Anyway, tell you what they need to do tonight to make sure that they can unfurl that qualified banner and it be true this time. And we might make fun of the Lakers some more because LOL, why not? Final hour of the Rob Brown Show is up next. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo's at the helm. You're listening to the Rob Brown Show on the best damn sports talk station in all the nation. This is the Fan Upstate. The third, the final, the best, the money of the Rob Brown Show starts now. This is The Fan Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. Grab the Odyssey app, put it on all your digital devices, and don't miss a minute of the outstanding programming we have for you here on The Fan Upstate. Also want to remind you that your home for live college basketball, live college shooty hoops is right here on The Fan Upstate. Coming up on Friday, we have the women's Final Four matchup for you, including your South Carolina Gamecocks, the number 1 overall seed in the women's tournament, play on Friday evening. We will have that coverage for you live right here on The Fan Upstate. And then on Saturday, the men's Final Four, we'll have those games for you here as well. If you are into March basketball, ladies and gentlemen, The Fan Upstate is your exclusive home for the Final Four on both the men's and the women's side. And we are geeked about it, man. Very excited to be able to carry those games to you, for you, right here on the Fan Upstate. Again, the women's Final Four on Friday, the men's Final Four on Saturday, and all of those games are available here and only here on the Fan Upstate. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. We're just here to make your life better. Mission accomplished. And by the way, can I just say, in what will be declared, and rightfully so, a pat on the shoulder for us here at the Fan Upstate, super geeked that we are carrying the women's game. Super geeked. We are carrying the women's Final Four for you. It's been a phenomenal tournament so far. Everything that the men's tournament has had, the women's tournament has had as well. And in that same vein, if you missed my tweet this morning at The Rob Brown Show on Twitter, at The Rob Brown Show, if you missed my tweet this morning, I was finally able to, and very excited to do it, over in the corner of the Fortress of Nerditude that Lonzo and I work in the corner on my side of the office, hangs a litany of basketball scarves, or excuse me, soccer. I got basketball in the brain. Soccer scarves. I got Man United and Chelsea FC and Team USA and Orlando City, the Reedy River Riot scarves hanging up there. All of my scarves are hanging in the corner. And this morning, I was able to add the Greenville Liberty scarf to the collection, the USLW League team, charter team based right here in the Ville. So I got the USLW League Greenville Liberty scarf that is finally hanging. And I've said for a while, I'm not sticking on this, but stick with me for a minute, that one of the things that is not only a part of this job for me, but is, as far as I'm concerned, a responsibility of this job for me and a privilege of this job for me, is to promote women's sports. There is a place for everyone in sports, and the competition is great. If you have not been watching the women's tournament, you have deprived yourself of some excellent competition and some really exciting results, including that Louisville, Michigan game in the Elite Eight the other day. You didn't watch that one. Boy, howdy, did you miss out. Last Thursday was the unveiling of the new branding for the Greenville Liberty. They broke out the logo, the name, put it on display for the very first time. And Thursday morning, got to the office, popped open an email, opened up the email, and I had a letter, what am I, 90? I had an email from a listener who said that his daughter plays high school soccer in the area and is looking at going to college on a high school, a college soccer scholarship. So he wrote me an email and said that back during the last round of women's national team soccer matches, that they got in the truck, they popped on the radio, and they happened to hear me talking about the U.S. women's national soccer team. And he said that his daughter started smiling, loved it, and said that she did not feel like the women's team had been represented on a show like this one in a way that would get more of her female friends at the high school level want to be involved with sports, right? Why would you get involved when nobody cares about it? She said she felt like for the first time in a long time that there were sports fans out there that cared about women's sports. And he brought her and a couple of her friends out to the Liberty branding announce party last Thursday. Got the chance to meet them. Very, very nice group of girls who were excited. And he said, I just wanted to thank you because I have been trying. My daughter loves sports, but she had always kind of felt disillusioned by the fact that there was never a spot where women's sports was featured in any more than effectively lip service on some of the bigger networks. He said, so for my daughter to hear a local sports dude talking about women's sports on the air in a place that it mattered to get the local community energized and behind women's sports in this community, in this great soccer community, this great sports community, he said it energized her in her love of soccer. And that's why we do it, right? That's why I talk about women's sports on the show. And I'm not just talking about Dawn Staley and the Lady Gamecocks, who obviously we are going to talk quite extensively about over the next 2 days, as their Final Four game is Friday evening. You'll be able to hear that game right here on the Fan Upstate. I'm not just talking about U.S. women's soccer, right? I mean, I know we're at a place where business-wise, I can't necessarily go on a WNBA rant, but we can bring it up when milestones happen. But to have a local professional women's soccer team, which, by the way, if you are a Clemson fan, there are a number of Clemson Lady Tiger soccer players that are now on the Greenville Liberty soccer team. You can continue to support them. There are Furman players on that team, Wofford players. There are players from this area playing professional in this area. And if we can boost that up a little bit, if we can just increase the level of attention and excitement and energy behind those teams, sports will be better for it. I firmly believe that. That's why we talk about the stuff we talk about. And that is why, just like, and we'll be starting back up next week, just like every week, we do a segment with a member of the Greenville Triumph, whether it's Chris, the president, Joe and Doug, the owner and CBO, John Harks, the coach, players every week. We do segments with them every week. We will do the same with the Greenville Liberty because they deserve the same respect and admiration for doing what they are doing with that football team as the Triumph do. I believe that, and that's why we do it. All right. Let me get, if you don't mind, please, Alonzo, clip 3A. Told you there were a couple of more NFL stories that have been coming out of the owners' meeting. One of them was that it was announced that the NFL has updated the Rooney Rule. Remember, the Rooney Rule is a rule that when teams are looking for a new head coach, they must interview minority candidates for the job before they make a hiring. Now, I will acknowledge that the Rooney Rule is worthless. It's worthless. It's not worthless because of its intent. It's not worthless because of the spirit of the rule. In idea, it's a great theory, right? It's flawed because it's got no teeth. The concept of let's promote the hiring of minority candidates in a role that predominantly has excluded them in the history of the National Football League. On its surface, it's a good plan. Problem is, it's got no teeth. And we saw that, if it is true, which I believe it is, in the Brian Flores story. Remember, Brian Flores got a text from Bill Belichick, who thought that he was texting another Brian Daboll, who eventually got the job with the Giants. Bill texted Brian Flores instead of Brian Daboll to say, hey, congratulations on getting the Giants job. To which Brian Flores said, hey, coach, I'm interviewing for the job. I do not have it. And Bill said, my bad. And Brian said, did you mean to text Brian D instead of Brian F? And Hoodie said, yes, signed BB. You know, the best way to end a conversation is to go, sincerely yours, and then walk away, which is what Hoodie did. But basically, if those texts are legit, which no one has countered that they are not, including Hoodie himself, including the Giants organization, if those texts are legit, it means that the Giants had already picked their guy and were interviewing Brian Flores effectively as a token interview to satisfy the Rooney Rule. Now, I can't say I have a problem with that because, again, there's nothing against it. The rule has no teeth, right? Now, the NFL did things like incentivize hiring minority candidates. If you meet X amount of hiring of minority candidates, you will pick up an extra mid-round draft pick or whatever. They incentivize it. But again, not enough it seems to have made a big difference. The new Rooney Rule now has a couple of more caveats to it. All 32 teams are now required to hire a, quote, diverse person, end quote, that is a female or a member of an ethnic or racial minority to serve as an offensive assistant. The text came out, the memo about the updated Rooney Rule came out in a memo from the league titled, What's Being Done to Improve in 2022. It says, in part, the league and clubs reaffirmed their commitment and launched a number of new initiatives. These are the latest in a series of enhancements designed to provide better outcomes in the hiring cycle. There are 2 bullet points. One of them, offensive assistant coach in bold. A formal resolution was adopted to provide greater opportunities for diverse candidates to serve as offensive coaches. Beginning this season, all 32 clubs will employ a diverse person, female or a member of an ethnic or racial minority, to serve as an offensive assistant. This person will receive a 1-year contract and work closely with the head coach and offensive staff to gain experience. Clubs will receive reimbursement from a league-wide fund towards the coach's salary for up to 2 years. In recent years, head coaches have predominantly had offensive backgrounds. We believe this resolution will assist greatly in continuing to source and identify diverse candidates earlier in their career, providing a pipeline depth and furthering developing the diverse offensive pipeline. Full resolution in appendix below. The second bullet point is titled Ownership Diversity, and it says, quote, following a discussion among all 32 clubs, the membership adopted the below statement and resolution that outlines its commitment to increasing diversity amongst ownership. This statement showcases not only the collective agreement of all 32 owners, but the major emphasis on diversity when considering a potential club ownership moving forward. Full resolution says the NFL member clubs support the important goal of increasing diversity amongst ownership. Accordingly, when evaluating a prospective ownership group of a member club pursuant to league policies, the membership will regard it as a positive and meaningful factor if the group includes diverse individuals who would have a significant equity stake and involvement in the club, including serving as controlling owner of the club. Now, once again, there's no teeth to that, right? It just effectively says, hey guys, it'd be really cool if you had a diverse member in the new ownership group when a club sale is to move forward, which doesn't happen often. But the problem I have with it is this. You guys know, as I said just a moment ago, I am on board with the spirit of the Rooney Rule. I'm on board with the concept of the Rooney Rule. I am on board with attempting to make it easier for, quote, diverse candidates, end quote, to find a spot within the upward pipeline of coaches in the NFL, because it's not easy. And it's not as simple as, well, just start at the bottom and work your way up. Getting a job at the bottom of the NFL is not easy. Getting a job coaching at the college level is not easy. So to come up with a way with that it makes it a benefit to the league, to teams, to attempt and expand diverse candidates within the league is a good idea. The execution is flawed. The problem I have is with mandatory hires. That's where you lose me, right? I think you should incentivize making diverse hires. I have no problem with the NFL as a private entity saying, we have come to the conclusion that if you hire a diverse candidate, there will be an incentive for it. An extra draft pick, maybe a couple $1 million tacked onto the salary cap, whatever it is. Whatever the contracted diverse candidate's salary is, you can add that number to your salary cap as well. Whatever, incentivize it. But mandatory hirings are when you lose me, especially when the NFL loves to trot out how private of an organization that it is. Incentivizing hirings is fine. It is statistically proven that it is more difficult to get higher level jobs as minority candidates. That has been proven time and time again. You can argue against it, but the data shows you're wrong. However, I do not believe that mandatory hires help in this. In fact, if anything, I think it pushes the conversation backwards, right? It pushes back the conversation. Because now teams can go, okay, we got our black guy. Now we just go back to the regular way of running the business, which hasn't been great. Track record in illustration. To say, hey, you must make a token hire of a woman or a minority coach, it doesn't help anything. Incentivize it, absolutely great. Make it mandatory, doesn't help anybody. And the league is going to, I think, end up watching. I don't think this is a step backward for the league. I think the result will be a step backward. And that's where you lose me. That's where a good idea ends up being taken in a wrong direction. The destination is a good one, but you picked a terrible route to get there. Texter says, "No, Rob, that's a load of bull boat. Your skin color should mean nothing in hiring. That's just like affirmative action. It's a complete load of boat." Right. Except for, again, it has been statistically proven repeatedly that it is more difficult to get higher level jobs as a minority. I have cited the study in the past that by submitting identical resumes, but by putting a name that is traditionally African American in origin to it, results in fewer callbacks in interviews and hirings than with traditionally white names attached to it. That is just a scientific study that has been done and repeated with results to show.
I am guessing that you could probably find studies that say the exact opposite of what you said. And This comes down to, in the end, what I've asked before: what percentage is acceptable? What percentage of minority coaches do you have to have before it's okay? Because, and I'm not saying, I agree with the last texter, it should be the most qualified. And unfortunately, the NFL, like a lot of places, you see the same coaches recycled over and over again because they have NFL experience, and there's that stigma, you can't come from college and coach in the NFL. So they've kind of done that to themselves. But in the end, what is the percentage that you have to have before everyone's okay with it? So does it have to be 15%? Does it have to be 20%? What is the percentage?
So I will respond to that.
Because
I'll respond to 2 points.
There is never going to be a satisfactory answer. There never will be.
No, I disagree. And I'll respond to that in 2 parts. Number one, you open by saying, I'll bet you can find a study that says the opposite. Great. Show it to me. Right? It's not a good argument to go, I bet something. No. Either put the evidence on the table or I get to dismiss it. Right? That which is claimed without evidence can be dismissed. That's how debate works.
And that is a political conversation that I didn't really want to have.
No,
so,
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that, but this is not a this is a conversation about logic.
But it has been politicized. That's the
course.
thing. You say it's not a political argument, but it is. It's been politicized without a doubt. But in this day and age, if you're proven that you decided to not do it because of race, you will be canceled or whatever. So there's more of a stigma, than any other time in the history of mankind, of not doing that.
All right, so let me respond to that. Diversity is not a political issue.
No, diversity should not be a political
Right.
issue.
And I will tell you, I am doing my best to approach this topic without a political slant to it. It is very frequently crammed into a political corner. That's not my intent. I haven't brought up politics at all, or at least not in a way that says this is political. You may take it that way, but it's not intended to be. But again, I've got studies and surveys on the table that have been that have showed repeated results that prove that is how it is. So how do you fix it? The second question is, you asked the question, what's the number, right? What's the percentage where we go, okay, great, we're diverse now? I think that's an abstract question. I don't think it has a definite answer. But my response would be, do you feel like the diversity in the league right now is what we could call diverse? I don't.
I don't know what the exact percentage of where you can go, okay, this is diverse.
Right, but this is an opinion question. Do you feel like the NFL's coaching ranks are diverse?
I don't look at color. So I can't tell you. I want the best qualified guy. So if you're looking at it, oh, look, there's not enough Mexican coaches, there's not enough Italian coaches, there's not enough this, then you have it in your mind that there has to be a certain number. That's what I want to know. What's the number supposed to be? I don't care what color you are, as long as you can get wins for my team.
So the argument is going to be this, and then we are way off the clock, so we'll bring this back in the next segment. It is super easy to say things are fine when you are in the group that controls the situation, right? It is easy to say, no, everything's great when you are in the population that everything's great for.
Okay, are you implying
I'm not saying about
that
you specifically. No.
Right,
Let me clarify that. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the folks texting in.
Because you're looking at me while you're saying
no.
that,
Well,
so
because we're having a discussion.
Yeah, I know.
And it turns out you're the only other person in the room. Otherwise, I'm just staring at the ceiling.
As far as we know.
Which I'm cool. So it's very easy to say, no. The diversity is fine when you're in the controlling group, right? That's the philosophical side of it. Texter says, that's Lonzo's point. It'll never be diverse enough. I disagree with that.
Well, but it is the point. Okay, so how do you know? You have to have a number. Okay, this is diverse. Tell me when you look at it and go, oh, wow, look, it's diverse.
Here's the response.
Is it I need to know what the number is.
Here's the response. The problem, to me, this is subjective from Rob Brown's opinion. The problem is not in we need a number. The problem is in the process, in the access to that pipeline. The access is severely restricted for a group of people. Once that access opens up, it may just be that there are fewer qualified black coaches. I don't believe that is true. But the access is the problem, not the hard number. You guys have lit up the text line on this, and I will respond to that when we come back here in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown. The great one Lonzo is at the board. You're listening to the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate.
All right, let's see if this works in Audition, although it's in Auxiliary also. Take it out of auxiliary for while we're doing that because that's still recording. So I don't know. Can you hear us? I don't know.
Hello, stream.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Welcome in, buddy.
You know, it was asked earlier where we're sitting in Columbia, and I can honestly say
We don't know.
I don't know. Why are you saying we? You don't know?
Because I haven't asked Joe.
Okay, because that's a concern.
And I don't know. I have yet to be in the Colonial Life Arena. Is it a big arena? I assume it's not a huge arena.
It's a basketball arena, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's
So-
I don't imagine it's a huge arena, right?
Yeah. I don't know either. I guess we'll find out.
We have entered the realm of our first few streams showing up on my Facebook memories now. And I'm like, oh, look at us. We were just kids. We were so young.
I can see that pink shirt from over here.
Oh, yeah. I need to break that shirt back out. That's a hot weather shirt.
Well, we're about to just suddenly hit summer, so that's how it works.
Exactly.
You know, even though I was challenged to find articles, I started doing that, but I'm not going to do that while I'm trying to do the show and fighting a headache. I can find it, but chances are when I find it, it will be from a source that you don't ascribe to. So it's not going to matter.
I don't care who reports it. Who does the study? If you give me a study from a clearly biased organization that is not confirmed by another.
What if I believe the study you're reading is from clearly a biased?
That's why you have multiple sources that
Okay.
confirm the study.
No, I
point of
agree.
science
I
is
agree.
to prove each other wrong.
I agree.
Not right.
I agree.
That's why I like science. It's not about being proven right. It's about being proven wrong. And there is no such thing in the realm of science as a scientific fact.
I should have held my tongue though, because now my headache is coming back big time. Because that's why I've tried to stay calm, because then my blood pressure will go up and it will, yeah. Which is why I didn't play Elden Ring last night, because of my head hurting, and I knew it would be a mistake. That's the. I'm sorry, I saw that.
Oh.
I have a joke, but I'm not going to use it. There's a bell tower involved, and I'm not going to use it.
Yeah, no, Trey, buy your ticket. And I don't know if you've got, you can email me or tweet me if you're on Twitter or whatever. But just send me where you are, man. I'll tell you where I don't know where we're going to be.
Or you can message us on Facebook. Since
or
I
message
see
us
you're
here.
on
Yeah,
Facebook.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Our buddy, so one of our friends grabbed the tickets when they went on sale initially. And and all this time, I don't know why I haven't asked them where they
Yeah,
are.
because I'd hate to get all the way up there and go, oh yeah, there's a scalper over here. We
No,
gotta go talk to them.
I know for a fact they're in the bottom bowl. I just don't know where.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know they're in the bottom bowl.
All right. If you're watching on stream, I hope you're happy. We talked wrestling. Now
There you
everything's
go.
good. And
And for the record,
we're coming back, by the way.
Lonzo and I do not have these conversations and then like silent treatment each other. It's just sports talk, baby. All right, I did not intend for this to be something that was going to eat up multiple segments, especially with the new 3-segment clock.
Yeah, it's my fault.
No, it's all good. No. It's a great discussion. This is one of those discussions. I know a lot of people listen to Lonzo and I, and we get into this and it gets heated. And they're like, you get awkward and uncomfortable. Lonzo and I are fine. Like, we don't silent treatment each other after we get off the air.
Well,
we go duke it out with the boxing gloves.
We're getting ready to spend a lot of time with each other
True
today,
story.
even more so than normal.
We're gonna be together like a solid 9 hours after this.
Yes.
So anyway, Texter says, let's read a bunch of text. All right. Bunch of text on the Preferred Home Services text line 71307. Texter says, what if the argument for player skin tone is made for players? The amount of minority players far outweigh those of white players, just playing devil's advocate. And I understand that. I've heard that argument. But here's the thing. That's why I said the debate is not over the number. Like, what's the number to consider ourselves satisfied? The debate is over access to the role, right? If you can make a justified, proven with empirical evidence argument that white players are being restricted from access to the league, you have an argument, and I'm down to listen to it. But there's no argument that white players have less access to the league than black players, right? The point is, on the field, the jobs on the field are most definitively earned by what? Who are the best football players? End of discussion. There's nothing else involved. There is you may not agree with me on the answer, but there is a genuine question of, do black coaches have the same access to NFL coaching positions based on who is the best coach? Which is not the case with the players, where the best players make it. All right, where the best players make it. Texas says, Rob, I get what you're saying. What is the percentage of black coaches in the NFL compared to the black percentage of the country's population? That would be the ratio that needs to be compared. Yeah, we've had that argument in the past, right? It's like 13% of the American population is African American. And you're looking, I don't recall the exact number, but coach, like top to bottom coaching, not just head coaches, because I think there's 5 black coaches now, head coaches. But percentage-wise, when you include coordinators and position coaches and assistant coaches, I believe that it's lower than that number. But again, it is not about the correct ratio. It is about access to the jobs.
But how do we know we've reached the correct ratio if there isn't a number?
That's the thing. Nobody on that side of the argument is saying there is a number, a quota we must hit. It is the access is restricted. We don't know what the number is going to end up being until that funnel is opened as it is for white coaches, and then we'll see how it shakes out.
In any negotiation from, any act of life, there is a number that both sides are trying to reach. And so how do you know you've reached where you need to go if you don't know what the number is?
Let me ask you this question. Let's put it this way. Let's break this down metaphor-wise. Lonzo and Rob are both competing for a job, right? We're both competing for a job.
Yeah, you won.
Not if it's production.
You're not bad at production.
No, I'm not, but I'm not Lonzo.
Well,
see, we're nice to each other.
Yeah.
All right, listen, you and I are both competing for a job. And I walk down the hallway and our boss says, I have put together reference letters for you from me, from Steve Sinacropi, from Devin, the sales lead, right? Reference letters from all of the management positions in this office.
That was good till you put Devin in there. I don't know if she likes it.
Hey, man, sales got to love us, right?
Yeah,
Sales got to love us. So he collected for me reference letters from every management head in this building, and he forwarded them to the new job. And then Lonzo applies for the job, but nobody in this building will write Lonzo a reference letter, right? Everything else about us is the same. We've won the exact same number of Crystal trophies, which is not true, but like for this argument, say it is. We've been on the same show together. Our ratings for both of our shows, you host the show, I host the show, the numbers are equal. Everything else is equal, except for the boss down the hall just likes me more. And he writes all these reference letters. And then the guy awarding the job calls down and he says, we're giving the job to Rob because he's got all these references. And let's say I didn't earn them, right? Everything else we do is identical job-wise. Ratings-wise, numbers-wise, performance-wise, everything's identical. And they said we're going to job because he's got the references. And you asked for the references, you deserve the references, but they just didn't give them to you because you have long hair. Sign, everywhere a sign, right? If you came to me and said, dude, it was not fair that you had to step up in this job when everything else we did identical because you got the references because Mark Hendricks likes short hair, right? And then I went, well, Lonzo, what would be a salary you would be happy with? It's irrelevant. The number is irrelevant here because the number is not the problem. It's the access that is the problem. That's the problem. Texas says that's the problem. If you let this victim attitude fester and it will never be diverse enough, it'll never be enough. Dude, if you're walking down the street and somebody robs you and then you call the cops and go, I've been robbed, and the cops go, you need to drop the victim mentality. You understand? Sometimes people are a victim. Sometimes they are. Now, you may disagree that they are the victim or not, but in their eyes, they are.
Yeah, sometimes people are the victim, and then there are people who make profits over playing the victim. In this case, I don't know if that applies. And I know I keep coming back to it. I just want to know the number. And I'll say it over and over again. I want to know when people can look at the NFL and go, yeah, there we are. That's what we needed. Because I don't think that number exists. That number will never exist. If we had all minority coaches and had no white coaches, is that fair?
No, see, you're doing it again, though. You're dismissing what I'm saying to create your own goal.
Yeah, like you've never done that to me.
No, I have. It's a valuable debate strategy. Trust me, I used to do it. It is a valuable debate strategy if you can convince people that what your opponent is saying is not what your opponent is saying.
By the way, we're not disagreeing. That's the thing. You and I are not disagreeing. Does it need to be fair? Yes, it does need to be fair, but it should never be about skin color.
Right. And if it wasn't, it would be fair.
Right.
That's the point.
But if it's the opposite, would it be okay? That's what I'm saying. When are you happy with the number? And if you don't have a number, you're never going to be happy. And they won't put a number out there because then once that number is reached, then they can no longer complain about it.
I can prove to you that's wrong. Because of the player situation, right? No one has ever said we need a fair number of white and black players in the league. It's never a conversation because players all have the same access to the best players all have the same access to the next level. Now, Deion Sanders ripped some NFL teams the other day because Jackson State had their pro day. And like 24 teams showed up to the pro day and 8 did not. And he ripped them and said, we got NFL caliber players here at my university, but you didn't send guys down. You're not giving them the same access as you did when 32 teams were at Alabama's pro day and 32 teams were at Florida's pro day and 32 teams were at Georgia's pro day, right?
Yeah, but
the access isn't there.
But him doing that means next year, all 32 teams will be there, whether they want to be there or not.
That's a good thing.
No. Agreed, but they'll be there just for the optics, not because they plan on signing anyone.
Maybe so.
Just so they can't be called out about it again. And that's what all this is. It's about optics. The better qualified person, no matter what color they are, they're the one that should be the guy who can come in and get my team wins. That's who I want in there.
In an ideal world, you're spot on, but we do not live in an ideal world. That's the point. And we cannot get to that point until the things that prevent us from living in an ideal world are addressed and fixed. Texter said, a self-professed wise host once said Tebow wasn't ousted for his beliefs, but because owners want to make money. Doesn't the same hold true here? Yes, again, for the players. It's why Ray Lewis can play and Tim Tebow can't. Is it the same on the coaching side of things? I don't know. Numbers say it's not. Let's take a break. When we come back, Lonzo and I are doing something super fun. And as of right now, I think he's still planning on going with me. We'll see how we end up at the end of the show. Texter said quick, somebody talk wrestling.
I didn't memorize that song
We will talk wrestling very briefly when we come back. And then Twitter trending topics to wrap up the Rob Brown Show. This is the most energetic radio show in the South. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Well, it's not set.
No, I know. And you can go change it because I got to go pee. And
Be right back, Street.
regular settings, it should just be mine.
All right. Can you guys hear us? Hello, Miss Lisa. Can you guys hear us now? All right. Perfect. Maybe perfect.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're gonna see how it goes. But I noticed when I switched you to audition, wow. I noticed when I switched you to audition that those. Nice.
He's got to find his groove. Once he finds his groove, it's
Well done.
yeah. Once he finds the stroke, it's all over. Can you guys on the stream
Wasn't
hear
even
us
on
now?
stream, so they didn't get to see it. Take us out of. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, that's right. Minor details. There we go.
So since my my wife is on there, hey Lisa, can you hear Rob and I?
Is Lonzo's mic cutting out? Is the question we need answered.
We could go to the settings thing and check it, I suppose.
Well, what it is when I switched you from aux to audition, I noticed that the input settings, the settings coming out of the board into Axia were not the same. And one of the first things that I noticed when I made that change is that the mic started cutting out on Rob too. And that's when I realized that if the audio going into Axia was getting messed up, then once it's in there, it's gonna anywhere you send it out, it's gonna be messed up. So I think that was the issue. It was the input to Axia.
I'm listening to you too, but you know.
Fine.
Yeah. So could you look at that and find the CBS report?
No.
Exactly. So this is, we have to find it.
Probably gonna have to listen to that whole thing.
I found it last time, but I don't see music. I don't see.
Yeah, there's no clear break
Right.
in there.
So
And if
hence,
it doesn't happen at the same time,
right.
then you're gonna have to listen to it. You're actually gonna have to listen to it.
See, that's the problem, and that's.
I know. I know that's the problem. I understand how that's the problem. There's nothing I can do about it.
All right, I found it,
We're
but I
setting
think.
up the recording.
Yeah, I found it, but I think it's going to be cut off. They let it float so much that it's at the end of the 14 minutes.
I mean, I can record the entire hour for you.
Well, thank you for fixing that.
Network issue.
I hope that fixed it. By the way, talking about the stream.
Hey, you know what? Here's I don't know. I would recommend taking it up with Mark and seeing if he can contact the network and saying, guys, can you
Fix it.
Well, I got it. I think I got it. So
pay attention to the clock a little?
yeah, well, network. Apparently, you don't have to do that. So there's that.
I guess let me know how the utility thing goes.
Lisa says she can hear us, so I don't know if we're getting out or not.
Well, that's the question. And
Yeah.
I'll go back and try and listen to it. I mean, it's only the last segment of the show.
Yeah, it is.
But we'll see how.
All right, cool. Thanks, Chris. You have Prisma in the last break.
Alrighty.
Let me impress upon you.
How time works.
It's not easy, and I know it's not. So it's
Will you just, whatever time I need to be out, just hit the music a minute before?
I'm going out earlier.
Even better. Well, for like the last break, I'll make sure it's a minute.
Okay.
Fair or foul, Lonzo? Country music artist. I was going to say superstar, but I don't know if enough of you guys know him. Eric Church. You know who Eric Church is?
I loathe country with all of my being.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But I know who Eric Church is.
Okay, so I'd say he qualifies as superstar if Lonzo knows him. Country music superstar Eric Church was scheduled to play a music concert this Saturday evening. He was scheduled to play at the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas.
Daggum.
Yeehaw. Well, don't mess with country music fans down in Texas, Lonzo. Eric Church has canceled that show on Saturday night.
You sounded like one of Biff Tannen's guys from Back to the Future 3.
The worst Back to the Future?
My favorite Back to the Future. We can't do that. We're robbing the Pine City stage.
Eric Church canceled his Saturday night show at the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas, because, Lonzo, Eric Church is a North Carolina come on and raise up basketball fan. He is a fan of the Tar Heels, lifelong Tar Heel fan. Well, on Saturday, you may have heard, and you will be able to hear, the Final Four game. For the first time in NCAA tournament history, Duke and North Carolina are going to play each other in the Final Four. Actually, first time in the tournament ever. It is in the Final Four. And it is Mike Krzyzewski's final game in a Final Four. Win or lose, he'll never be in a Final Four again.
Can I admit something really quick?
Please do.
One of our listeners who tweets all the time had been writing DOOK, and I didn't get it.
Duke.
I didn't get it for a really long time, and then finally I did. I'm like, man, I am as stupid as I think I am.
Duke. So, Eric Church is a fan of the North Carolina Tar Heels, and he has canceled his Saturday night show, stating on a Facebook post, quote, I was so looking forward to Saturday night San Antonio show. This is Eric Church's, or excuse me, this is not his tweet. This is a Facebook response. Anyway, Church put up a social media post and called the move the most selfish thing ever, end quote, but said, quote, I've watched Carolina and Duke battle over the years, but to have them match up in the Final Four for the first time in the history of the NCAA tournament is any sports enthusiast's dream, end quote.
Is he making up the show, though?
I suspect he will, but there are people that are upset that he's doing this like 3 days before the show. One lady on Facebook said, I was so looking forward to Saturday night. My husband finally didn't have to work, and we'd finally get to see a show together. Today we got an email the show was canceled. My heart sank and wished it could be rescheduled instead of canceled. Oh, so maybe it is canceled. Another one said, I completely understand. We bought tickets months ago and planned the whole trip around the concert. Fair or foul for him to cancel the show? I need the answer here.
You got me. It's both. Can it be both?
No.
All right. It's very self-centered, and as he said, it's foul. It is. You can't do that when all these people paid a lot of money to come and see you, and you cancel it for this reason. If it's health reasons or there's a death in the family or something like, I get all that, but in this case, and yeah, it is such a rare occurrence. As long if you rescheduled the show, that's one thing, but you cancel it.
I'm sure he will reschedule it.
Do they get their money back?
I would assume so if it's canceled outright, right? One Facebook guy said he wants to watch a basketball game instead. Eric Church is a clown. Another said he decided the basketball game was more important. You know, if it was Duke, Wisconsin, or North Carolina, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Illinois, I'm probably like, okay, that's foul.
Yeah, it's Krzyzewski in his last.
Bingo.
Yeah, I mean,
this is the basketball rivalry and Coach K's last one. I cancel it too. I cancel it too.
All right, Twitter.
Sorry, babe. No date night Saturday. We got basketball to watch.
Twitter trending topics. Shane McMahon is trending.
So the thought is that they announced that Seth Rollins will have a match at WrestleMania, which is what, next weekend?
No, it's this weekend.
It's this weekend?
It's Saturday and Sunday. And you know what? You can hear all about it on the Fight Club tomorrow, as well as what we're doing tonight.
And Saturday on the Upstate Pulse.
Yes.
7 to 9 on WRD, our sister station. So they announced Seth Rollins will have a match, but that his opponent is TBA. And the suspicion is that Shane McMahon shows back up and fights again, which I will tell you would be bad. Why would you do that? Why'd you do that?
I think you do that and then have Cody come out.
Right? Sell it as Shane McMahon, but then have Cody drop him from behind and take his spot?
Absolutely. What a move that would be. That's a WrestleMania kind of move, too.
Percentage you are convinced that Cody Rhodes shows up in WWE? 50, 75?
45%. I think he's going to be over ROH.
I think he is too.
Yeah.
I think it was a work. I think it was a work, and I think WWE bought into it because it made them look like they controlled the market for a minute, and then you never hear him brought up again. That being said, speaking of AEW, Lonzo and I will be at AEW Dynamite coming up tonight in Columbia. Thanks again to AEW for giving us Paul White last week.
Yeah, and like other shows, unlike other shows, we're welcome in Columbia.
Oh, yeah. They love us in Columbia. So we'll be in Columbia, South Carolina coming up this evening.
You know, Rob, the last time we were in Columbia, you know what we were doing? The last time together we were in Columbia. You were wearing a killer jacket.
That's right.
We walked. Absolutely.
We were picking up what is effectively the AEW World Championship of South Carolina Sports Talk Radio.
What we do when we go to Columbia is win. That's what we're going to do tonight.
So we'll have a breakdown of that show for you tomorrow. That's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. We are done. Back tomorrow. Fight Club coming up your way at whatever time it is now on our new slot. It's tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show, right here on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother.
Prisma.
Let me tell you about my friends at Prisma Health, the official healthcare providers for both the Gamecocks and the